I've made to this door is to install foam tape here. This is sticky on one side. This door has 4 panels, which means I have 3 gaps between the panels to fill with this. And this surface here that you can't see is the opposite of this surface. So it causes a tortured path for the air to go through, which makes the door relatively wind tight. But I want to seal it up even better so I can heat it more easily. And I've got the foam stuck to the mating surface of this, so it's all stuck down here, and it's back far enough towards this back edge where it doesn't show in the front when the door is closed. This is 1/8 inch thick, and it's a soft foam, so it doesn't tend to hold the door panels apart. It'll crush easily. Now sometimes with these kind of foam tapes, you'll have an issue where the foam will want to stick to the other surface, and it'll end up getting pulled off. And I think that's more, those experiences I've had in the past have been more related to the fact I was putting it on painted surfaces, and paint is kind of sticky. If you hold your finger to a door jamb or something long enough, you'll notice that it has some stickiness to it. Well, this door is powder coated, so that it's not really a paint, it's kind of a cured hard plastic. So I don't think that'll ever develop as a problem here, and I shouldn't have to resurface this project. But just another nice little modification. The rolls of tape were $2.99 a piece, and it required 2 rolls to do the 3 gaps. Actually about a roll and a half. So very inexpensive little update that I might as well do while I'm here. Here we have the completed door, and we can see that there's no sag in any of these panels. They're all mechanically holding themselves in, not relying upon the tape in any way. So this job is complete as far as installing the sealing tape on the outside and all the insulation on the inside. Like I said, I think I've got pretty close to an R6 value here, mostly because I use this foam that for a 1/2 inch is R2.7, and I've got 1 inch of fiberglass behind it, which is around R3 or a little bit above R3 for the 1 inch of fiberglass. Now I've added weight to the door, so the door doesn't want to support itself. I've got a stick under it right now. So the next thing is to adjust the spring, and so we'll get right to that. Okay, I'm going to tighten up this garage door spring, balance the door. Now this has got a double spring, so that means I have to do this twice, and I have to do it equally on both sides. This shaft here is solid, and it runs all, or not solid, it's a tube, but it runs all the way across. And these springs are trying to twist the shaft this way in order to roll the spool on each end and pull the cable up and balance the door. When the door is all the way down, the spring is wound up to its maximum amount, and you can see these marks here. And that shows us how many twists are in the spring. And right now this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 turns in it. I am by no means an expert, but I watched a few videos to learn how to do this, and I'm going to share that information with you. These have 1/2 inch holes in them. The spring is driving a cone that's all connected to here. It's trapped onto this cone. And then there's some set screws or some bolts that go through this and push against this tube and lock this to the tube. So what I need to do is secure this and undo the screws so that I can tighten this up a little more. And there's a lot of power in these springs, you got to be careful. And you'll notice when I turn this, it wants to lift the door, just to give you an idea of how this works. Now when I undo the set screws here, I don't want this to unwind. So I went and got a set of vice grips. I think I've taken all mine to work. I'm going to lock this from turning. I'm going to do this here. There's a stud here. This could have a lot of force on it, and I don't want it to push it through the paneling. Okay, and this is meant to be used with a 1/2 inch bar, and I found that a 3/8 inch ratchet extension fits it very nicely. Now, a professional garage door repair guy would use a steel bar, and then they put a piece of tape on it so they can see exactly that they have it all the way in as a safety procedure. Now, I'm going to mark this tube because this spring is also pulled a little bit, and this, when I undo this, it might want to move that way as I'm turning it, so I need to be able to return it back. We don't want the coils actually touching each other. The spring is pulled just a little bit so that they don't bind together. So I'm going to mark the tube, and I put a mark right at the edge where it was, and I drew about a 1-inch line and marked it again so I can see both marks. Got 2 set screws. Got the tube locked so it can't unwind. Another important safety procedure is if this were to get away from me, if I were to make a mistake, this could spin and it would throw my bar out. So you don't want any human being in line with this part of the device. And it's also a good idea to do it on the opposite side of the spring in case the spring breaks. Now, the videos I've watched of them purposely breaking springs, the spring stays on the tube always. But nonetheless, I'm going to be messing with it. I don't want to be near anything that can fail mechanically. So here we go. Going to undo the, I'm using a 3/8" wrench, and both of these set screws are on the back side. And it's a square-headed screw. There we go. So that's already slipped, even though I didn't release the other one. And I'm going to put a piece in there. Okay, so I've got that held. I've got to keep track of this because I've got to do the same thing on both sides. There's 2 springs here working together. So we're going to do 3/4 of a turn. There's 1/4. There's 2/4. Here's 3/4. Go ahead and lock these down. That baby's really got some tension on it. It's a little bit awkward to do from the side, but it's a lot safer if something were to slip. Now, my piece didn't suck down. If it had, the right way to move it is when these are loose and you're holding this, is to hit your tool right there. And of course I'm using some kind of plastic or rubber mallet because a real mechanic doesn't strike his metal tools with a metal hammer. So there we go. I've turned that one 3/4 of a turn successfully, and I'm going to go do the other side. I should be able to remove this now. Marker. I'm going to mark this metal tube so I know right where that was. Find a good place to stud right there. Okay. Now, so that I can finish with the long tool in, I'm going to start with the small tool. And improve my methods a little bit here. So I got a hold of it. This one, both set screws are holding on. There we go. Boy, I can feel it forcing me now. There's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. Put that right there. Let that hold it for me. Improve my methods a little bit. Tighten both of these down. And the correct tightness as described is when it gets snug, turn another half turn. So they're snug. quarter turn and a half turn. Okay, so I'm going to do this, and you can take some tension off of this, get this out. There we go. So it's done. So now let's see if the door is balanced. I added a lot of weight to it with all the insulation, probably about, I don't know, 20-25 pounds. So I need to get enough force to counteract that so the door will be balanced. It's a fair amount of force for me to lift this door after I put all this in. So let's see what we have now. Oh, that's nice. Okay, the test for a properly balanced door is, does it stay in position? If I have the spring too tight, it'll want to suck the door up. If I have it too loose, it'll want to fall from any position I leave it in. I think maybe I've tightened it a little too much. It wants to stay there. I don't know, it rolls so good. From here on down, it wants to fall. There, it has a place it wants to stay. I'd say it takes about 10 pounds to lift it and get it moving. If I was a real professional garage door man, I would know whether I should tighten it or loosen it. Seems in some positions it can stand to be tighter, in other positions it can stand to be looser. Now as the door goes up, it weighs less because a lot of it's in the horizontal track, and so the spring is less tight because it's unwinding. And you want a little bit of tension on the spring at the top. Looks like we've got about 2 turns on them at the top. I don't know, I think I'm happy with this where it is. You know, I can open the garage up a little bit to ventilate it. Doesn't slam too hard when I let it down. I think I'm going to be satisfied with that for a while. And I think our garage door insulation and adjustment is complete. I'm not looking forward to winter, but when it gets here, I won't be suffering in my garage as much.